throughout the 2024 election process, Donald Trump ad nauseum kept bringing up tariffs and how he wanted to put tariffs on countries like Mexico and China, tariffs on Canada, as well as some other countries. Repeatedly, as part of his economic strategy, the word tariff was used. So today we're going to talk about what a tariff actually is, how they work, why countries use them, and how, in particular, the new tariffs on Mexico and Canada of 25% apiece that will go into effect on February 1st will impact you, the American citizen. So first of all, a tariff is a tax or duty to be paid on a particular class of imports or exports, and it's used as a form of revenue for the government, basically extra tax. And it's also used to protect a domestic industry or encourage production. And that's been Donald Trump's main argument. He's like, I want to bring manufacturing back to America, so I'm going to use tariffs. And for the United States of America in particular, tariffs have never worked, and tariffs have never been the best strategy on how to deal with imports because the United States no longer has a manufacturing economy. Since 2008, since the financial crisis, since cities like Detroit and Pittsburgh and those plants went out of business, the United States has transitioned to a service economy. We have millions of people making money off of things like Uber, DoorDash. We have so many technological services. The biggest companies in the United States right now are Nvidia, Apple, Meta, Amazon. These are all tech companies. They're not manufacturing companies. The things that they do manufacture, for the most part, are manufactured elsewhere. Every single computer chip that Apple uses is made in Taiwan, even the ones that they make themselves. They need other countries. Because of globalization, everybody is dependent on each other. Using tariffs to create trade wars cannot be a feasible option for your country to get the goods and services that it needs in a affordable manner for the average citizen. It does not work. On top of that, tariffs are extremely inflationary. You're literally telling companies, okay, we're going to charge you 25% extra. So if Ford or any other car manufacturer is bringing in a car from Mexico, Mexico has the seventh highest production of cars in the world, and they import about 75% of those cars, or they export about 75% of those cars to the United States. If one car is supposed to cost $40,000 and Ford or any other company has to pay a tariff on it, guess what? That car is now going to cost you $50,000. It's a 25% difference. The companies are going to immediately pass it on to the consumer. And knowing how these companies operate and knowing how these companies behaved post-COVID, they're going to charge you more than they actually even end up paying. A lot more. They're going to profit off of this. They're going to profit off of it heavily. There's a reason why the American citizens, why Republicans, why Fox News kept crying about inflation during the first 2 years of the Biden presidency, except grocery stores made record profits because they heard the excuse of inflation, and even when inflation went down, they still kept charging you high prices because there was no checks on that. And Donald Trump doesn't plan on doing that. He doesn't go after billionaires. He goes after people like you. Moving on. On specifically these tariffs from Mexico and Canada, why these are going to be extremely bad for the United States is, like I said, cars from Mexico. We import the most oil from Canada, and then also agriculture, tomatoes, avocados, berries, all of those things come from Mexico. All of those things. They're the second largest provider of agricultural products to the United States of America. And we're about to put a 25% tariff on all of your everyday groceries. We're going to put a tariff on your gas. And by we, I mean the United States, not me particularly or the party or candidate that I wanted to win. This is all Donald Trump's fault. But putting tariffs on these industries, like I said, makes everyday products more expensive, coupled with a massive drop in agricultural labor productivity right now in the United States because of the illegal mass deportations that the Trump administration is carrying out. And yes, they are illegal because they keep detaining U.S. citizens. If they were using a systematic way instead of just going for shock and awe and headlines to deport as many people as possible, as Donald Trump wants them to do, maybe they would only deport the illegal people that had committed crimes or should not be in this country. However, they're literally arresting people for speaking Spanish and saying, yep, you're not from here, even though they're American citizens. That leads to a drop in labor productivity. That leads to, in California right now, no one's showing up to the farms to pick the harvest. No one's working on the crops. That means less food for us. There's already a bird flu going around, and the FDA isn't allowed to make a statement about it. So that's why egg prices are already $12 a carton. They're going to get worse. You're going to have chickens are dying everywhere in this country right now. There's birds dying everywhere because of the bird flu. People are going to start dying soon. Someone already died. And Donald Trump says that he's doing all of this because of drug trafficking and because of immigration. And once again, there's no point in using a trade war and making everything more expensive for the American public to go after those two issues, especially because you're hypocritical when you pardon a guy that literally built an online portal for drug trafficking and human trafficking and God knows what other crimes, and Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht, and then you pardon him on your third day in office? You let the guy go scot-free? He was sentenced to a life sentence. You let him go scot-free? This is a guy that led the charge in bringing drugs into this country. On top of that, China and India produce a lot more fentanyl combined than Mexico does. Tell those countries to stop it. Go after China. He hasn't done shit to China. He keeps going China, 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 China. Doesn't do anything for China. No tariffs on them, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because he's scared. And also, border crossings were at an all-time low in 2024 under President Biden. Not under Donald Trump from 16 to 2020. They were at an all-time low under Biden. And they were people coming in every day, but they were using the illegal channels. The illegal border crossings went down a lot. And also, a lot of illegal border crossings, yeah, we hear about them at the borders of both the countries that border us. A lot of them just come in when people just come here on a tourist visa and don't go back. That has a lot of how illegal border crossings happen and how people come here illegally. It's much easier than trying to walk through the Canadian border or the Mexican border. A lot of people just do that. But more importantly, how will these tariffs impact you? Like I said, egg prices are already at all-time highs. Because of the little trade spat with Colombia, coffee prices are going up. Coffee future prices are going up in a major way. They went up $6 overnight. And even if there's no trade war, now coffee companies are like, okay, cool, we'll make more money off of you. On top of that, car prices are going to go up. Gas prices are going to go up. There's grocery prices will go up, and there may be a shortage if people still aren't picking food and if we're not importing as much from this other countries. Because particularly in terms of agriculture, there are just some things that we cannot grow a lot of in the United States of America, where there's not a good climate to grow certain things. Sure, you can probably grow avocados in Mexico, in California or Arizona in a drier climate, but I don't think you can grow enough, even with the current crops and the current land available, to combat how much we import. And that's the thing that people don't realize. So everything is going to go up in price. It is going to be an inflationary economy yet again, through no fault of COVID or a recession or anything else. It's just going to be because of Donald Trump. And because this is a very anti-labor administration, the Secretary of Treasury said, I don't think the minimum wage should go up, even though he's a millionaire, and the minimum wage is currently $7.25. If you adjust the minimum wage from 50 years ago to now, it would be higher than what it is right now. And people can barely survive. And on top of that, your gas, your new car if you need one, your groceries, all of those things are going to get more expensive. So what do? First of all, don't let Donald Trump trick you into thinking that this is Joe Biden's fault or anybody else's fault. Joe Biden led the greatest economic recovery post-COVID of any country in the world. We had the best inflation rates 3 years out of COVID. We had the best unemployment rates, and we had the most productive economy. That is legitimately one of the most impressive things that an American president has ever done, is how good that economic recovery was. Yes, there was inflation, but it was also a financial crisis, and the only way that a government can stop a recession was when the government spends money. And when the government spends money, inflation happens. And if you don't believe me, please just watch like a 2-minute explainer video that Investopedia puts out. It's that easy to do your own research, as y'all love to say. On top of that, show your frustration at the polls, show your frustration in protests, show your frustration in any nonviolent way possible. Just do not let them get away with charging us more, not paying us enough, and then blaming other people for it. Because it's not anybody else's fault. Half the country still thinks that China's going to pay for these tariffs or Mexico's going to pay. They're not going to pay for them. You're going to pay for them. But thank you guys for watching this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Peace.